All right, welcome to another episode of The American Dream, the only show that combats negative media, not owned by a network, commercial-free and unscripted. We got a great show lined up for you. You are going to see interviews we've compiled from throughout the week with our co-hosts and myself. And then we're going to integrate in local market experts out of your own backyard to give you some specific advice. That being said, we got a show to do. Let's start The American Dream right now. Every single day, you are consumed with information. With the 24/7 negative news cycle and a pop culture that's polluting the airwaves, all selling out for the ratings game. Well, guess what? There's a more positive way to look at life. You live in the greatest city in the greatest country on the planet. Every day with our elite network of professionals, our goal is to educate, empower, and engage. And now it's time to fight for your American dream. Purpose is born from one's commitment to solve a problem. You're going to hear that today on The American Dream. Our show compiles national interviews throughout the week to a weekend show on ABC, NBC, and CBS all across the country. So I wanted to speak about our purpose on the show so you really understand where we're coming from. Years ago, I hosted a radio show about 10 years ago. We spread that across the country, and one thing that really united our audience is that we were bipartisan, meaning not political. We weren't owned by a network. We were commercial-free and unscripted. We brought that to television. Isn't it now a time when people really need that, when we're divided on politics, gender, race, socioeconomic issues? I'm not saying these things aren't important, but there's a better way to communicate them. So when you watch our show, if you want to help us combat negative media, the best thing you can do is breathe oxygen in the stuff we're sharing with you. Please follow the show, follow us on social media, but more importantly, realize it's your show, not ours. We want you to reflect this thing back to you. So your comments, we share them, we comment on them, we put them on the show. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for following, helping us with our purpose. That's the word on The American Dream. Now let's start these interviews right now. Now this is a fascinating topic. On The American Dream, we always talk about real estate, but recently we've been talking about this whole thing with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. What about these two worlds colliding? Joining us on the show, Piper Moretti, the CEO of the Crypto Realty Group. Good to have you on the program.
Thanks for having me.
So you've hustled some of these deals, these cryptocurrency deals on real estate.
I have, yeah.
Pretty fascinating.
Yeah, and we just bootstrapped it from the ground up. I mean, there weren't a lot of transactions that had happened in California.
Like ever?
Well, there was one that we knew of. There's been a couple since. But yeah, these guys just found me randomly online, wanting to look at luxury homes in my area.
Which is what, LA-ish?
Manhattan Beach,
Okay.
Hermosa Beach, kind of like the South Bay part of Los Angeles. And we totally hit it off, really great people. And about 3 or 4 in, they said, oh, by the way, we're going to buy in Bitcoin. Yeah. So I thought, okay.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
So you're just responding to somebody who's looking to buy a luxury piece of real estate, I'm sure pricey, in LA, in that area. So they reach out to you and say, we want to, had they already started making offers?
Not up to that point.
Okay.
Yeah, because they were still trying to hone in on what part of LA they wanted to live in.
So they're in the process of just talking through things with you, and then they mention, hey, we're going to buy this with cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And you said,
okay, not a problem.
Hey, you got to be a problem solver in your business.
Absolutely.
So then what?
Then I went to Google and just tried to find as much information as possible. Not a lot out there, but I did piece some things together. You know, I made some great contacts who were able to kind of guide me through, but we basically just had to start from scratch. There was one that happened up in Tahoe a few years prior.
Okay, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It was another luxury, about, I think it was like 1.6, 1.8. But that was the only one that I knew of. And so that led to us finding BitPay, which is a company that it's a payment processor that helps convert the Bitcoin into cash if that's needed, which usually is because a lot of sellers just don't want to accept it.
Yeah, so I just want to keep chiming in so we can make sure we're making sense here. So they want to make the offer in Bitcoin. You have to have a seller who's willing to accept Bitcoin or convert it to cash?
Yes.
And then go to them?
Yes.
What did your seller do? Or what did the seller do?
All the sellers that I've worked with so far don't even want to touch it. I do have other ones out there who are a little bit more crypto savvy who are like, yeah, we'll take Bitcoin. But for the ones that I've done, the seller was like, nah, I don't know what that is. I'm just going to take the cash, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had to facilitate the process of converting it.
Yeah. Yes.
Which really, couldn't anyone do that anyway who owns Bitcoin?
Oh, yeah.
Before they contact you, but you just kind of got involved because you're the one facilitating the transaction.
Exactly, and there's a whole escrow process as well. How is this going to work with escrow, and who's going to take the money, and there's all these little moving parts, that have to come together at the end.
Do you think does it open the market up? I mean, does it help at all? I mean, you've actually niched your company, the Crypto Realty Group.
Yes.
That's a first.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, so I love marketing. I think that's great trailblazing. You got the whole world is moving towards this, and you're getting ahead of it on the real estate side, and you're becoming an expert. You've closed how many of these deals now?
5.
So that's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
just
more
in the
than
last
I
year.
would imagine anyone else. In each one of those closings, are you always converting it to cash first?
Yes, each one of those so far.
Now, when does that happen? Does that happen before escrow?
It happens during the escrow process because you have the good faith deposit, that comes through, and usually that sets the seller's mind at ease. They're like, oh, okay, well, we received the deposit in U.S. dollars, so then the rest will obviously be transferred in U.S. dollars. So that kind of calms everybody down. But then, at the end of at closing, they're owed the rest, and all of them have been quote unquote cash deals. So no financing.
Yeah, makes sense because it's being converted over. What do you think the future of real estate and cryptocurrency is?
I think we're at the very, very beginning of this wonderful thing. There's also, you can't talk about cryptocurrency without blockchain technology. And there are a lot of startups out there that are trying to merge, the whole crypto concept and the blockchain concept with real estate. And it's exciting stuff. What could be, I always talk about this, what it could be like a 30 to 45 day escrow could be whittled down to 5 to 7 days, maybe even shorter, because everything with the smart contracts and the automation, you can even do payment gateways, all that in crypto, and boom, you've got a house in just a matter of days.
I want to hear about an offer. At some point in time, I want you back on the show where someone actually accepted it in escrow as cryptocurrency.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I mean, the equivalent kind of would be like, I'm going to accept your Google and Apple stock for this house. Except cryptocurrency is a currency. It's not a stock, but it's kind of the equivalent of that.
It is. It behaves like a stock.
That's what people know it as, right? It's being traded that way versus necessarily spent. Interesting. So the Crypto Realty Group, if you have any questions, I'd say connect with Piper.
Yeah.
Right?
Piper at CryptoRealtyGroup.com.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on The American Dream. I hope the people visit you at thecryptorealtygroup.com if you have any questions. I have questions, but we're out of time here today, so we'll get you back on again.
All right, thank you.
So by the time you come on again, I want you accepting an offer and getting someone to accept the Bitcoin.
Yes, sir.
That would be fascinating. Thanks for coming on the show.
All right, thank you so much.
All right. If you have questions on this stuff, don't forget you can also visit us online. More of The American Dream coming up next. So on our show, The American Dream, you hear us talking about finding your dream home. What about financing your dream home? There is not a better expert to speak directly to this topic than the CEO of Mortgage Coach, good friend of The American Dream, Dave Savage, joins us from Portland, Oregon. Good to have you on the show, Dave.
Good to be here, and how you doing, Craig?
I'm good. So I think the recent trend, the hot topic right now is interest rates rising. What say you on that?
Yeah, no doubt. That's a hot trend. Also, inventory is pretty tight in most markets. And most people don't realize that their dream home is closer than they think it is. But yeah, it's higher interest rates and tight market.
Do you think rates are going to keep going up? I know you don't have a crystal ball, but it's always interesting to get a point of view from someone like you.
Well, I know one thing. Yeah, they are going up. The question is when and by how much. I just know that we have a network of the nation's top loan officers, and when they're asking families, what do you think is going to happen with rates and what do you think is going to happen with values? The most common answers are that, rates are going to be up and values are going to keep increasing, so that's what the network thinks.
Well, there are opportunities in every market, even the down markets. You've identified a dual market here now, present time. What do you mean by that?
Well, the dual market is, the low end is moving quickly, multiple offers, high end, not so much. So it's kind of like a dual market. And so, one of the questions I hear a lot of realtors asking families, hey, are you in your dream home? And if the answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, I think, the conversation continues. You may be closer than you realize. And so the concept of moving up and selling your home in a market where you're going to get multiple offers and it's a seller's market, and then buying in a market where it's higher end, it's more of a buyer's market, multiple offers, that's very attractive. So I think families, if you're watching this, ask yourself, are you in that dream home, and have you done a total cost analysis? And if you're in the industry and you're either a realtor or a mortgage professional, help families really understand the value of moving up. Put it in a graphs and charts in a way that they can understand that.
Yeah, you got to be able to see it, because this stuff it's going to go above people's head, and you're going to miss out on these windows of opportunity. So again, to reiterate, if you're in that median price range where you're getting multiple offers, maybe in some above the listing price, yet you go to that higher price range and the home's sitting on the market for a while, it's an interesting time. You can reposition your equity. Rates are still low, historically speaking, so good opportunities on financing as well. Dave, you mentioned a total cost analysis. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think every time someone gets into mortgage debt, they need to look at their total cost over time. Don't just look at the points, the closing costs, the details. Look at the total cost over the time that you're going to be in that home. So if you think you're going to be at home for 5 or 7 years, what's the total cost of that loan over 5 to 7 years? So we advocate for something called a total cost analysis that mortgage coach loan officers use that show different programs. Or in the case of a move-up analysis, hey, what if you stayed in the home you're at versus move up? Now, what's the cost and equity over 5 years, 7 years, over the length of time that you have in your financial planning horizon? That's how we recommend you.
Yeah, I want to give our audience an opportunity to reach out. The American Dream is a national show. We have the best realtors all across the country in their own backyard giving advice. Something with finance, it's a little bit more universal. So no matter what city you're in, if you own a home and you'd like to see how these numbers can break down, love to connect you with one of Dave's mortgage coach professionals, even a realtor. Just shoot me an email, which our team will drop in, I'm sure, and I'd be happy to make that connection for you. Dave, since I have you here, what do you think the market will look like in 6, 12 months from now? Are we still going to be talking about rising rates and prices? Do you think things will stabilize? What say you?
I don't know. I don't know if anything's ever stabilized. It's either going up or it's going down. And I do think likelihood rates will be a bit higher. Values will continue to increase. But the getting into home ownership or moving up, never been a better time. And I still think it's going to be a great opportunity 6 months from now.
Dave Savage, CEO of Mortgage Coach, thank you for coming on the American Dream. We appreciate you always.
Thank you, Craig. Take care, everybody.
I'm going to give you a call to action as our audience today. When you're sitting down to make decisions on buying real estate, your biggest investment, mortgage, your biggest debt, but is a financial instrument, one thing you should always ask your realtor and your mortgage professional, are you a mortgage coach? My background's in mortgage, if you don't know. I've been in this business a long time, and there's a distinct difference between those who have their license versus those who are at the elite side of the profession. A mortgage coach professional, great question to ask as you sit down and tailor your own plan. More of the American Dream coming up next.
We have a winner! Johnny, you won! You won!
Grandma?
There are certain times in life when you need a neutral third party to call the shots.
I wasn't right. I know, but I wasn't right. I wasn't, you hear me?
Keep it fair. Choose Oakwood Escrow.
Hey, American Dreamers. My number one job is to be your consumer advocate. When you see these guests on the show, I have traveled all over the country to vet the best professionals in your area. If you have a question, real estate, finance, mortgage, tax planning, estate planning, credit, whatever it might be, email me directly and I will respond before my head hits the pillow. Love to help you achieve your American dream. This guy is a repeat offender. I always love having him on the show. He is a heavyweight champ boxer. Trent Rawlins, good to have you on the American Dream again.
Thanks, Craig. Thank you.
You brought your wife, Ashley Rawlins, here as well, who's an attorney. We're going to talk. Today's going to be fun because I love talking about boxing and competing. Also, some of the things that you're doing outside of boxing now with your wife. You guys have a business, kind of that entrepreneurial spirit. Let's give the fans what they want. Talk what's coming up.
Absolutely. Well, my last fight, I tore my bicep tendon off the shoulder, so I had to get that sewed back up, had surgery.
What were you doing, throwing a haymaker?
Throwing a straight right hand, and it just came off, so I had to sew.
What do you think caused it? Did you feel it when it happened?
I did.
You did?
I did, but I kept fighting.
Oh, man. Did it hurt? Or did the endorphins kick in?
It hurt a little bit.
Oh,
yeah, it
man.
hurt a little bit, but you just keep going and keep fighting. I'm in a fight. We're gladiators, so we just keep fighting.
How do you tear your bicep if this is what you're doing every day, your whole life for a living? Was it just an awkward punch of some sort? Or do you think it's wear and tear over time?
Wear and tear. I guess it's like, a football player tearing their hamstring or doing their knee.
Yeah.
Things happen.
Well, awesome, man. We've enjoyed watching your journey. You're now getting into this business world. I always think it's fascinating when athletes get out. You could be in your 30s and you're old for an athlete. No offense, I'm in my upper 30s. But when you get out, you're a competitor. You got that entrepreneurial spirit. Sure. You got to find something to do. So you and your wife are in business now and helping those with personal injuries, which obviously you've gone through. So tell us about it. So go ahead, Ashley.
So I'm the owner of Rawlins Law, a professional corporation. So we focus on personal injury victims who've been injured in a car accident, slip and fall, wrongful death clients. So I'm the attorney, Trent's the case manager. One thing we pride ourselves on is personally meeting each and every client. So really focus on individual client service. And then we pride ourselves on being honest, ethical, and compassionate, which sets us apart from other attorneys.
And I think the marketing angle that you are helping people with personal injuries is just kind of clever, right? Given you're a boxer. Yeah. So talk to me about what it's like for you being someone who's competed to earn your income to now getting in this business world, partnering with your wife. How's it playing out for you?
Well, I'm still competing. I'm still in there fighting, but it's great. It's great because I've got that fighter mentality, and dealing with the insurance companies are horrible dealing with. They don't like to pay. Our clients will be injured in an accident. They'll be clearly rear-ended. It wouldn't be their fault, and the insurance companies still don't want to pay. So I love transitioning my fighting in the ring to fighting with the adjusters for my clients. We like to fight for our clients.
Do you just scare the crap out of them?
No. Fight in a different way. Fight with them in a different way. Strategically fight with them. Not threaten them that I'm going to come, throw a left, right hook at you.
You should, man. I think you've got a long way with some of these insurance guys. You say that the insurance companies are awful. I think everyone has experienced that in some way, shape, or form. But what do you see on the front line? Like, where do you see people getting wronged?
Well, I think the first thing is if anybody is injured, to get an attorney right away. So the longer that there's a lapse, the adjusters just reach out to them and keep trying to contact them. And then by the time they do come to us, a lot of times they're like, oh, well, we already gave a recorded statement or we've already spoke to them. So the first thing is to get an attorney right away that can advocate for you in your best interest, because we know what to say. We've been through it before. Definitely. I know, like, they flood them with paperwork. I don't fill out that paperwork. So just to contact someone right away so we're able to better facilitate how the case goes.
Definitely. Yeah, a lot of people don't do that. No. Don't realize they have a case or whatever.
No, there's a little bit of a lapse, or if you are injured, sometimes people wait for treatment for a week, and so insurance companies really hone in on that gap in treatment, and they're like, well, if you're really injured, why didn't you go to urgent care? Why didn't you go to treatment right away?
Yeah.
So.
Did you get insurance for that bicep? Is that thing insured?
It's insured, yeah.
God, it should be.
No, I got it.
That thing's massive.
Got it repaired. It's
getting by, huh?
Yeah, no, it's 100% now. It's good.
Yeah.
Good
So when's your next match?
Probably June, early June. Just
Awesome,
started back in the gym last week, so started training camp, back in there, banging, moving my head, which is good. Feels good to be back in there.
Oh, I bet, man.
Yeah.
I really bet. So I want our audience to be able to follow you guys. Got a great story. What's your Instagram handle?
Trent_Rawlins.
Make sure you connect with this guy. I love following him, and the fact that you guys are out there helping people fight insurance companies, I love it. Ashley and Trent, thanks for coming on The American Dream.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, more of the show coming up next.
Hi, I'm Jem Morris, co-host of The American Dream. Don't forget, you can always watch more of our content online and follow us along on social media.
All All right, let's talk some luxury real estate in America's finest city. That's a great topic of discussion. Joining us in the studio, he just closed a really big deal in Coronado, and he certainly specializes in that luxury market, Darin Triolo. Good to have you on the show, man.
Good to be here.
All right, so I want to talk about what's happening in that market. I want to talk about strategies around marketing, including sharing your recent luxury sale out of Coronado, one of the greatest places on the planet. How's the luxury market compared to what you would maybe offer as advice on the regular market?
Yeah,
by regular, traditional prices, median prices.
Sure. I mean, the luxury market in San Diego, I think what separates it from other markets, so kind of take a broad picture of it, is just the diversity of the product, right? I mean, we've got obviously Southern California, coastal real estate, Del Mar, La Jolla, the staple luxury communities, but then you've got markets like downtown where you've got luxury condos and high rises. That demographic of who's living there is different than some of the people that are moving to the coast. You've got Coronado, which is its own animal, you know, and then you've got inland areas with ranch and, you know, farm and big, large 10, 20,000 square foot estates in Rancho Santa Fe. So, I mean, the diversity of the product, I think, is what drives a lot of the market here. Is there's so many different options when you go luxury and call it, you know, 2 million and higher. I mean, other markets, you know, 800 is luxury, a million is luxury, but those are kind of some of the distinctions that I've seen here in San Diego. And then you get the weather, of course.
That's just San Diego.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you just discussed all these different areas. Are you attracting international buyers on these?
We are,
homes?
yeah. And part of what a good segue into that is, you know, the weather here. Look at the day we're having today, right? Beautiful blue skies. It's 70 degrees, right? I just came back from Pennsylvania. It snowed on Monday. And it was 80 on Friday, right? So my family's wondering, you know, why did I move out here? Well, there's your answer.
There you go.
But seriously, international community, when you look at just the value of the dollar here, you know, when you go into other luxury markets, you're paying 20 to 50 million, 100 million for some of the luxury product, where international buyers can come here and they're getting a steal for 5 million. So you get this money coming into the US to buy our luxury real estate, specifically here in San Diego. So there's opportunity for international buyers, and I think that's a good target market on the marketing side of things also.
So when you look at these buyers coming from all over the world, and you're saying that it's because of the value of the dollar, so it makes good investment sense, right? Are they just buying and leaving them vacant? Are they renting them? Is it second home? What are you seeing?
So, some of them are buying them. Some of them, it's just they're parking money. They'll buy a luxury property. They'll come here once or twice a year. They'll get, you know, crews to come in and clean it every once in a while. Others are buying it, renting it out. Some are doing, luxury vacation rental style type properties, and others it's a second, third, or fourth home. You know, so they have their kind of crew of vendors here that when they're in town, it's home for a month or 2 months or 3 months, and then they're hopping over to another property.
You know you're doing okay when you're buying third and fourth homes just to park money.
Yeah.
Not a bad situation.
Yep.
So, you know, we've been discussing the market, buying into that market. What about these properties that you're listing that are high-end? What are some of the strategies that you use to draw those types of eyeballs as potential buyers?
Yeah, I mean, and the high-end market right now, I mean, to segue into that with the inventory right now, I mean, when you're looking at, like, let's call it the 2 to 4 million market, there's about 4 months of inventory, which basically means if nothing new came on the market, all that inventory would be sold in 4 months.
Okay, so in the luxury, so that's
1 to 4 million.
A seller's market.
That's still a seller's market. So when you get into that 4 plus, though, there's 26 months of inventory. So, and that's normally
4 million plus.
4 million plus.
Okay.
So you've got a lot, it's a buyer's market in that market, which makes sense. There's less demand. There's not as many people buying $10 million homes or $8 million homes. So from a marketing perspective, not only do you have to have really great marketing collateral, photography, video, drone video, lifestyle video. You got to be all over social media. You've got to have international realtor connections. You got to be proactively getting the word out to distribution channels. You know, you can have all the best marketing in the world, but if you don't distribute it properly, or if it's not priced right, which is another huge factor in San Diego's luxury market, it's not uncommon for listings to start at $5.5 million and the final sales price is $2.8 million. I don't quite understand that as a realtor, how as a seller one would hire a realtor and say, you know what, let's list it at $8 million and 2 years from now I'm going to sell it for $4 million. I don't see that
as a realtor why you would take it at that
do
price besides just trying to say, oh yeah, we can get that.
So the, you know, the pricing, it's tough to price in the luxury market because there's so many different factors. It's not like in Manhattan where you have a price per square foot and you've got comps all over the place in different buildings. So the pricing strategy, the presentation of the home, and then delivering all of the marketing that you do in a very proactive manner. It's not just throwing it on this every website. It's actually reaching out to international agents that have buyers that buy in San Diego. It's getting into the big data that's out there and leveraging that to get your message directly to the people who can afford this home.
So give me an example. You got this property that you just sold. We got to be quick here, but how'd this thing go down?
So we actually pitched it on the show a couple months ago, but it was as coming soon. So that was part of our marketing campaign. We did social media posts. We repurposed the show, got that out. We proactively prospected over 800 Coronado homeowners to get the word out that this is coming soon, and wouldn't it be great if they could pick their new neighbor and who do they know? And as a result, when we hit MLS, I got a full price offer, just over full price at $1,751,000 for a 1,300 square foot home in Coronado. That every other realtor that called me the day I listed it told me I was way overpriced. But because of the pre-marketing we did and the buzz we created, it hit the market, and I had that offer in hand, and I had 2 or 3 backups at full price as a result of having that leverage and getting the proactive message out there.
So what I love about it, and this is just a great nugget for not only people who own homes, but realtors who watch the show, you targeted the neighborhood that the house was actually listed for.
Correct.
Go a little deeper on why.
Coronado in particular is one of those markets where everyone knows everyone, right? It's an island. Everyone that gets into other people's business, they know who people are, they know the local players. That's why I oftentimes as an outside agent, I don't live in Coronado. I have the advantage of bringing all of the knowledge to the people that are already there that are going to likely source the buyer for me, which is in the case. This isn't the case. If it's not them, they're talking to their people. It has a capillary effect, which is exactly what happened. The buyer actually heard from someone that I cold called. They called her. She talked to a developer. That developer reached out to me day one, and they wrote the full price offer and closed in about 20 days. So
love it, man, and sold in one.
Sold in one.
Well done. Darin Triolo, if you have questions about luxury real estate, the guy is clearly a wealth of knowledge. Love having you on the show. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
More of The American Dream coming up next. Hey, American Dreamers. My #1 job is to be your consumer advocate. When you see these guests on the show, I have traveled all over the country to vet the best professionals in your area. If you have a question, real estate, finance, mortgage, tax planning, estate planning, credit, whatever it might be, email me directly and I will respond before my head hits the pillow. Love to help you achieve your American dream. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show. As a reminder, we are a national show that combats negative media, but we are also the only show that brings in local market expertise. So if you have any questions, you want to reach out, engage in the conversation. I hope you can find us online, find us on social media. We would love to hear from you. That being said, that's all for today's show. We'll see you next time on The American Dream.